everybody so that we'll start. Okay. All right. For this, welcome to this full stack web development essentials and web architecture webinar. Um, I'm just going to say a few things that will guide us, though we've dropped a, some instructions on the WhatsApp group. Um, but I just need to say them again because we intend to be as fast as possible in this webinar. That's what we intend to do. We intend to be as fast as possible in this webinar. So um, the first thing is that we all are expected to mute our mics. Mute your mics once it starts, and then the second thing is to ensure that if you have a question, you either raise your hand or you drop it as a chat. But because we are quite a number of us here on this group, it will be difficult for us to manage or handle all the questions at the same time. So there's a particular time sectioned out for questions and answers. So you will be taking note of your questions if you have questions to ask, and then you will ensure that when that time comes, you ask those questions. So for now, let's have everybody to be um, muted, and then let's raise our hands if we have questions. And I won't like us to be using the hand icons unnecessarily. I use the hand icon when, for example, I'm sharing my screen and you cannot see my screen, or I'm speaking and you can't hear me speak. That's when you should use the hand icon, and so that we can be able to um, manage ourselves properly. All right, so welcome once again to this webinar. Um, Welcome once again to the webinar, okay? With Coach Okezie, yes. So, this webinar is organized by Chidono Limited, And Chidono Limited is a tech company that specializes particularly in ICT, software development, building of websites, and other softwares and applications. That is the work of, or that you can know more about Chidono on our website, teamchidono.com. So when you go to our website, you can see much of Team Chidono, of Chidono's detail about the course. Okay. Now, um, about the instructor, about me that's taking this class. Yes, I'm a software developer by career. That's what I do. As a business, that's my life, and that's my skill, and of course that's my passion. So, but I'm not just interested in what my career is to myself, but how does what I am affect you? So I um, help people, students of all levels, overcome the fears in learning coding and the complex fields that surrounds coding. That's my specialty. I help students um, overcome the fears in learning coding and the complex fields that surround it. I remove the hypes. I simplify the journey. I make it practical, step by step, and then I ensure that I make my students know everything they need to know. That's who I am. So I'm diligent in taking my students through the rigors in software development. And that's what I pride myself in doing. I teach um, students at all levels, even 7 years, from 7 years and above. I tutor them in software development, in web design, and other fields in development. So if kids of 7 years can learn to code, coding that may look difficult, I believe that any other person can go through um, web development when I teach it and understand. Okay. Now there's this usual tension and confusion when it comes to software development. People know and may have heard that software development is a skill that pays well, and indeed it pays well, very well. And people may also have heard that it's difficult to learn. I would not say it's not difficult to learn. Actually, it's difficult to learn. But that's why I feel that what makes the difference is when you have the right instruction or the right instructor. And that's why I'm here. I'm going to be showing you all you need to know about web development and the safest way to start your journey. That's what I'm going to be doing. I'm going to show you all you need to know about web development and the safest way to start your journey. I'm assuming that we have people who have not gone into the field of web development or full stack, and I'm assuming that we have people who have gone into the field to an extent. They just need to really understand what it's all about. So my commitment is to ensure that those confusions in your mind, I clear them, and then to ensure that I guide you through taking the right steps to begin your journey into web development. Okay, so that's basically who I am, and that's my motivation um, as a coach. Okay, now what's my agenda for this class? So my intention is to, like I said, to take you through the safest ways, guide you and demystify the whole system in full stack development, and show you the building blocks in a website, and dive through the disciplines you find in web development, and give you experts um, advice and experiences, guiding you on the choices to make on the best or on the tools that you need to use for web development, and then hands-on e-commerce and web architecture we're going to be working on. Okay. Now, the first, some of the things we'll be dealing with in today's webinar: definition of terms. We'll look at the components in web development. We'll also look at hands-on architecture design of an e-commerce website, and then we will look at what we call the apprentice structure, and then we'll take time for questions and answer. But just to be sure that we are all flowing together, if you can hear me and if you can see my screen, can you indicate by raising your hand? Just to be sure we are all together. You can hear me and see my screen. Okay, that's good. So majority of us can hear me and see my screen. So I'm not talking to myself. All right. So let me lower everyone's hands. Okay. Beautiful. Now, where do I start? We start from the very beginning. So, what is full stack development? This webinar is targeted to last just about an hour, so we'll try to be as fast as possible. So, what is full stack development? What is full stack development? That's what we intend to look at. And I'm not asking it as a question, of course. I'm basically teaching. Okay, so what is full stack development? Full stack web development is the process of building and maintaining all the parts of a website. When you ever hear the terminology full stack web development, is a process. So it's not a 1 minute thing. It takes a while. It's a process of building and maintaining all the parts of a website, building and maintaining all the parts of a website. So websites have different parts, and when you talk about building all the parts that make up a website, that's what full stack is all about. Building and maintaining all the parts that make up a website. Don't worry, I'll still make available this slide to everybody. I'll drop the slide at the end of the class to the group, okay? So you may not need to be writing down. All you need to do is to note your questions. Just write down your questions, okay? So it's the process of building and maintaining all parts of a website. Now, there are some important terminologies around websites that you need to understand. There are so many of them, terminologies that you hear involved in web design or websites, but we need to I'm just going to list out a number of them that are important for you to understand a lot of misconceptions that come with these terminologies. Okay, so we have websites, web apps, web design, web development, internet, browser, web pages. These are a few out of many terminologies you find in web when you talk about websites that you need to understand so that you can be able to not be mixing up things. Sometimes you ask yourself, what's the difference between a website or a web app? Or sometimes you hear web design, you hear web development. What's the difference? Okay, so I need to clear that for you so that you can understand. Okay, so what is a website? What's a website? Is the first thing we need to understand, because when we are talking about web development, you must first of all understand what a website is. It wouldn't make sense to be saying we want to develop websites when we don't know what a website is. Okay, so what is a website? A website is a collection of web pages that are accessible through the internet, viewed by a web browser. A website is a collection of web pages that you can access through the internet, viewed by a web browser. So these key things. Okay, okay. Sorry, let me put something. Okay, just a minute. Maybe post the link for some that are just joining up. Okay, so these key things are important to note. Number one, web pages. Number two, internet. And number three, web browser. You cannot talk about a website without these three things. A website is made up of web pages. A website must be accessed through the internet. And for you to access it through the internet, you need to use a web browser. Okay, you need to use a web browser. So what is a web page, or what are web pages? What is a web page, or what are web pages? A web page is a single document that can be viewed on the internet. A single document that can be viewed on the internet. Just like, let's go into a website. Just website. Where do we go to now? Let's say we are in yeah, this is where you sign up to um, join this webinar. Okay, so this is a page among several pages that you find in this website. Usually a page is you you separate, or you give out a page just for a particular set of contents. For example, okay, let me not use our website. Let me find another website. Website like which website do I use? Say Jumia. Yes, we'll be coming in here several times. So Jumia.com. I remember. Okay, so let's say we are in Jumia. So the first thing we meet here is a web page. It's a single document, and then there's a limit to what you can see on this page. Though you keep scrolling down, usually when you are within a web page, you are moving up and down to see the contents in a web page. But the moment you, let's say you click and you go somewhere else, for example, you go to sign in, this is taking me to another page. This is taking me to another page. So just like you have an exercise book, you can flip from one page to the other. The web page is a collection, or sorry, a web page is a single document that can be viewed on the internet. A single document that can be viewed on the internet. That is what a web page is. So in this picture, you can see there are several pages. There are several pages, one, two, three, four, five, six. All these pages are parts of the website. So in some websites, you can come to the home page, the about page, the services page. They are all different pages because you cannot um, model up everything in one page. Though there is still what we call the single page application. And if there is time, we can talk about that. But usually, websites are a collection of what web pages, and a web page is a single document that can be viewed on the internet. Okay. Now, so what's the internet? What's the internet? The internet is a network of interconnected computers communicating with each other, allowing people to share and access information through various interfaces. What do we mean with this whole English share? The internet is just computers that are connected together wirelessly. Um, Computers that are connected together wirelessly. That is what the internet is. Computers that are connected together wirelessly, um, so that you can be able to access the different informations in these different computers. Okay, computers are connected wirelessly so you can access the different informations in this computer. Please, if you guys can hear me, indicate by raising your hand so I'll be sure we are together. All right, you guys can hear me. All right, so remember, if you have questions, you drop them. um you just jot them down once it's time for Q&A. So the internet is a connection of several computers. Several computers. It will still make sense. I just needed us to understand these things that we are breaking down. Okay. And then the final one is the web browser. What's the web browser? It's an application that is used to access and view a website. It's an application that is used to access and view a website. These are different web browsers that you may know about. Sorry. So this is Google Chrome, Microsoft Edge, Firefox, Opera Mini, Safari for Apple users, UC browser, Internet Explorer for Samsung users, and so on. Okay, so these are different applications, but they are all called browsers. What is their special duty? What they are specially as give or used to do is to open or view a website. So, for example, you want to play a music file or watch a video. There are special applications that you use to do that. You use something like a VLC player or a Boom Play, or maybe you want to create a Word document. You may use applications like Microsoft Word or WPS. Those applications you use to view Word documents. So when you want to open a website, you use a browser. So anytime you're opening something that you find that you're using a browser to open that thing, that's a website. All we are trying to do here is to explain what a website is. So, and somehow this helps us to understand the difference between a website and a mobile application. What I'm saying is that many times I meet with different clients that say, okay, I want to build a website or a mobile app that does this, that does that. And you discover that clients don't know the difference between a website and a mobile application. They don't know the difference between a website and a mobile application. So, what's the difference actually? So the difference is these things that we are talking about. They may have the same functions, the same content, but these key things that we've mentioned, number one, web pages, number two, you must access them through the internet. You may argue that there are some mobile apps on your phone that you cannot use without the internet. For example, your Facebook, for example, WhatsApp, and so many other applications that you need the internet. Yes, but that does not qualify them to be a website because they are missing the third thing, which is what? A web browser. So you must access a website only through a web browser, and you must be connected to the internet. There's some other applications you don't need to connect to the internet to use them. For example, you are playing a game on your phone, you don't need to go to the internet to use them, and they are all applications, okay? But browsers, you must, they have web pages, you must connect to the internet to access them, and we'll still understand why we need to connect to the internet to access them. And you must use the browser to be able to access them. Usually when you are on maybe a social media platform and someone sends you a link, you click that link, you see that it will take you to a browser, any of your phone browsers, either Chrome, whatever is connected to your phone, that's where it takes you to, or to a browser interface in an application. Okay, so that's basically what a web browser is, an application used to view the pages of a website. All right. So no, no, no. I need everyone to be muted. Mute yourself, please. Okay, thank you. So someone is someone is okay. So um now we want to look at another misconception. Another misconception. Many times you hear websites and you hear web applications and you wonder what's the difference. You hear websites and you hear web application and you wonder what's the difference. Okay. Um, let's look at that. Sorry, I'm a little distracted because I'm trying to find out who's muted. Um, okay, I found you. Please, let's mute ourselves. Let's mute ourselves, please. Thank you very much. Okay, so okay, all right. So, what's the difference between a website and a web application? It's a very important question because people um, talk about websites and web application. What's the difference? First of all, they both contain web pages. So both of them have web pages. They both have web pages, and you can access them through the internet via a browser. So they both fall in the definition of a website. So you could say that a web application is a website, but there are few things that um, have been generally associated with websites that are not really associated with web applications. And there are a few things that have been associated with web applications that are not generally associated with websites. So what are the differences? Let's just see them. So first of all, a website primarily provides information. So whenever I hear of a website, they are just more of informational. That is, they just things you come and you read, see information that they have there. Um, you come, you read, and you go. So while web applications usually provide or perform, they provide services and perform unique tasks or unique tasks. And websites have less interaction, while web apps have more interaction. And examples of websites are like news sites, blogs, company info, and so on. Um, while example of web apps are like online banking services, e-commerce, social media platforms, and so on. Remember, if you have a question, just be noting them down because of our time. Now, but generally, you can still use websites to categorize all of them, and also you can use web application to categorize all of them. But the major difference is in the um, content, or in the nature of the content in the website. Websites are usually, or what we can categorize as websites, are less interactive. So let's say you go to which website can I think of that is less interactive? Sorry for those of us that are football fans. Let me use the website like livescores.com. Okay, so this is basically a website because it's just mostly about information. You can see the scores in the website. You can click on one and see further details, or maybe websites about a particular company. Can't think of any company right now, but you just go there and you read information about the things they do. Maybe let's say Dangote, I don't know, Dangote, maybe they have a website that you go to majorly see or read information about the website. While web applications, they have they have extra features that make them interactive, that make you to um, do or perform unique tasks on those platforms. For example, you could say our own website, simchino.com, is a combination. You can actually classify it as a web app because it's not just informational. You don't just um, read informations from there. You have features in it like forms where you can fill up your name, like you just did, filled up your names, and then you're able to go through other. Sorry, I don't know if you guys can still hear me. If you can hear me and see my screen, can you indicate by raising your hand? All right. Okay. So we are together. So it's not just informational, right? You can you can log in to different places. You can watch videos from it and do interact. You can also see the live chat features that are there on the website. So that's kind of what makes a difference. But whenever the purpose of you knowing this is so that when somebody who is talking as a professional is talking about a web app, you know that okay, he means something that is more interactive. But if somebody who is a novice and uses the word website, you can just categorize everything about it as a website. So those are just the key differences. One is more interactive than the other. One can exchange information. Web app can exchange information. You can upload information, you can receive responses, and so on. Okay, so that's a major difference. Now, yes, so the differences, these differences in the website or in the web app also determine the choice of architecture, tools, and languages that will be used to develop this um, website or web application. So if you are going to be building something that is more like a website, kind of it determines or it affects the choice of software or tool or language you use to develop that website. But if you are building a web app, it also determines or it affects the choices of tools that you choose to make use of to build that website. Okay, let's look at another misconception, and that is web design versus web development. Many people may have been wondering what's the difference between web design and web development. You keep hearing web design, sometimes you hear development, you wonder if they're the same thing or not. Um, because what we are doing teaching, we are teaching you, are trying to bring it to a professional level. On a layman's term, many times they are used interchangeably, but in a professional level they are not used the same. So but they both are involved in the process of building parts of the website, but there many times are used interchangeably, but they don't mean the same thing. So what's the difference between the web design and web development? Web design focuses on um, structuring how the website should look, structuring how the website should look. When you are building a house, usually there's what we call the building plan. Before you start building a house, you draw the building plan, how the house should look, how many rooms it should have, how the windows should be positioned, um, how many story buildings, what color of house should it be, and so on. That is a building plan. You are designing the plan of the house, but you've not yet implemented the plan. It is now when you go to the land and you begin to put blocks, begin to dig the ground, do the foundation, add blocks, mix cement and all that. That's when you are actually building the structure, but you are following the design of the house to build. Okay, so web design speaks more of the part of websites that talks about how the website should be built, how it should be built, how it should look like, how it should look like. While the web development talks about or focuses on implementing the design. I hope you understand what I'm explaining, and if you have questions, you note them down. It talks about implementing the design so that when you have a picture in mind, this is what I want to build, then you can do what? Now begin to implement it. So web design is more of on paper, while web development is the implementation of what you have on paper. So that's a difference with that part of it. Okay, so let's go. We are trying to um, manage our time. So let's look at the structure of a website. Now, when I say website, I still mean a web application at this level. Okay, so let's look at the structure of a website. What do we actually see in a website? So a website is basically broken down into two parts, the front end and the back end. These are the two parts of a website, the front end and the back end. Okay. So what is the front end? The front end is what we call the also called the client end. This is the part of the website that you can see as the user and you can interact with. Anything about the website that you can see and interact with is called the front end of the website. Say for example, you are on a website, like you are on our website here. All the things that you can see on the website, the logo, um, the menu items, the way this is appearing, all you can see about the website is the front end, because so far as you are the user, so far as you are the one that is viewing the website, everything you see about this website and that you interact with, whether you are filling up a form or not, whatever, so far as you are interacting with all these things, what are they? They are, or they are generally categorized as the front end of the website. They're generally categorized as the front end of the website. Okay. Now, this front end that you see in the website, to have it to look the way it looks, basically or in the foundation, involves coding, and that's why you see some of these things here. For some of us that are a bit familiar with it, we still talk about them. So for you to be able to build the front end to look the way it looks, you need to write codes. Basically, you need to write codes. Whether you hear of software that said you don't need to write codes, yes, we will still explain that. But in the foundation of those softwares are codes that are written for you to be able to build the front end. That's what makes front end to be different from graphics design. Graphics design, you don't write code, you do drag and drop and all that. But in the core foundation and the basics of web, of the front end, that is the parts that the user can see and interact with, there has to be code written. You may not be the one that writes the code, but somebody has written the code, okay? So please, someone is raising his hand. Please, if you have your question, just be noting it down for the time of question and answers, okay? So it basically involves coding. Now, so there are some essential languages that are used to write the codes for the front end. There are some essential languages that are used to write the code for the front end. I won't be able to talk about everything, but I will give you a good understanding of most of them. Okay, so these are the essential languages that you see involved in writing codes to make the front end of a website look the way it looks. So when you come to a website just like ours, all these things that you are seeing, codes were written behind, and if you want to kind of view it, you go to view page source, and you can see the codes that are written. This is like the skeleton of this page. So you can see the codes that are written to make this page to look the way it looks. It's in every website, you cannot hide it. If you right click, you go to view page source, you see the codes that are written. This is the Dangote website. You see the codes that are written to make this website to look the way it looks, right? Whether no matter what they use to build it, you will still see these codes there. So there are essential languages that are used to achieve these things. We have HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. These are the three major languages. Every other thing is an extension or a framework related to these languages. For example, we have the CSS frameworks. For example, we have the Bootstrap, the Sass, and then for the JavaScript framework, we have React, we have Node, we have Angular, we have Volt. So these are frameworks that are associated with these languages. Now, when we say HTML, HTML means hypertext markup language. Now, HTML is the language and building block of web pages used to primarily format and display text and files. So, for you to be able to display text and files in a website, you must involve HTML. In short, the document type of a web page is .html. The document type of the web page is .html. So HTML is like this the cement used in building a house. It's like the cement used in building a web page. Okay, so you can't escape HTML. If you are using an application that doesn't involve you writing HTML, it's because they've already done it for you, right? But basically, every website, the basic foundation and the document type of every front end of the website and every web page is HTML. So if you go at the top of this Dangote website that we just opened, you see that it is HTML. The language that is written here to make this stuff work or look the way it looks is basically HTML. Okay. So then the next one we have is CSS. CSS means Cascaded Style Sheets. Now this controls the presentation and styling of the contents in a website. The way the website looks, how beautiful it is, how the contents are arranged. That's what CSS does. Without CSS, it's just like building a house without painting it or without fixing windows. So when you have CSS, CSS adds color, CSS makes the text and the files to look good and presentable. Okay, so that's what CSS helps us to do. Okay, sorry, I'm rushing. Then we also have JavaScript. JavaScript is used to add dynamic and interactive features to a web page. Those things that make the website to be dynamic. For example, let me just show you our website. There's our website again. Okay, so when you hover here, you see how this pops up. And when you click this button, you see how this pops up, reveals something that was hidden in the page. These features are there because of JavaScript. That's what JavaScript helps us to do. All right. So these are the essential languages. Every other thing is connected to, and these are languages that you use. You write the codes that enable you to build the front end to look the way it looks. Remember to be noting down your questions for the question and answer time. Okay. All right. So what of the back end? The back end is what we call the server end or the server side. Basically, is the part of the website that you cannot see. It's a part of the website that you cannot see. Okay, but it's the part of the website that makes the website to work or behave the way it behaves. The front end makes the website look the way it looks. The back end makes the website behave the way it behaves. And basically, it has three parts that we generally talk about in the back end. We have the application logic, that is where we see these APIs and these languages. We have the database, and then we have the server. These are the three parts that are involved in the back end of a website. The application logic, the database, and the server. So let's take them one at a time quickly. What is a server? A server is a powerful computer that hosts or handles the files, the data, and the requests of a website. So a website deals with so many files. I mean, web pages are examples of files. So the web server carries those files. The web server carries the data of the website, both the database and all that. The web server carries those files, and then the web server also handles requests. And when we say the server, I'm not just talking about web server, servers generally, and the server is a computer. But note the adjective, a powerful computer. That means it's not just, though you could use your laptop to as a server, but a server is a powerful computer that you can be able to put files in, right? So let's say, for example, you have, sometimes you may connect your phone to your laptop, and you are collecting an information from your laptop to your phone using a cord. At that point, your laptop may be acting like a server, serving information to the laptop. But for web purpose, the server is used to host and handle the files, the data, and the requests. Request, that is when a user wants to see a page in a website, the web server collects that request and pulls out that page. If you are in a website, for example, you are on a website and I'm making a request to go to the home. I click this, the web server takes that request to go to the home, and then it gives me the home page. So it takes away the webinar page from my face and gives me the home page. That's It hosts these files and it handles the request. That is basically what the server is. Um, Sorry, I'm being a bit fast because we have a limited time. Remember to note your questions. We will handle our questions. Okay. So a server can be local or internet based. What do I mean by local? Local means you can be hosting your web files on your computer. When you start building a website for the first time, it's usually local. You are building it on your computer. Everything is running on your computer. But the moment you choose to start, you want others to view it, you need to put it on another platform on the internet, and that's where you now talk about web servers. Okay, so for you to be able to put your files, take it away from the local host into um, Akpan Victor, are you having issues with? Can you hear me? You can't hear me or you can't see me. Please remember, the only time you're allowed to raise your hand is when you cannot hear me or you cannot see me. That's the instruction, please. Okay. So, um, um, when you no longer want to have your website only on your computer, um, when you are done having your website on your computer, you want to when you're done having your website on your computer, you want to host it online so that others can access it. That is where we talk about web hosting. Now, web hosting is making your website or web application accessible via the internet by uploading website files on or by uploading your files on a web server. That's what web hosting is. And then web servers are either shared hosting or cloud hosting. There's what we call the shared hosting and there's what we call the cloud hosting. And then both for the shared hosting and the cloud hosting, both of them offer spaces for clients to upload their files, um, to for them to be able to upload their files on the internet and can be accessed on different websites. But the difference between the shared hosting and the cloud hosting, cloud hosting is a bigger hosting platform that enables you to host your files no matter what the size may be, and not just hosting whatever size. It's flexible. You can downgrade your size or upgrade your size. You can increase the RAM of your hosting. You can increase the CPU. But shared hosting, so many websites are running on the same web server, and that usually makes the website to be slow. I have someone who he had an application. He built a mobile app, and then he wanted to host a test on his mobile app where about 1,000 people will be using that app at the same time. Now, he before then, people were just using the website normally, the mobile app normally. But the moment he did that event that required 1,000 persons to log in at the same time, um, the hosting crashed because he was using a shared hosting. The hosting company had to block the website because he was pulling more traffic to his website than other websites that are sharing the same hosting platform. So that's the difference between cloud hosting. You can still see them. Some companies for cloud hostings are like AWS, Azure, Google Cloud Platform, IBM Cloud, and so on. While other platforms for shared hosting are Bluehost, GoDaddy, SmarterSP, and so on. Okay. All right. So what of the database? What is the database? Database is simply a place where you store your data, an organized way of storing your data that you can access them later on electronically by writing codes. You can access those files that you store in your database. And we have different types of database. We have the relational database, the hierarchy database, network database, and then object-oriented database. These are different types of database that you have, but basically these are where you store your files, like your user login details. For example, you guys filled up your names, your email, and all that. Those things were stored somewhere on our website called the database. Okay. So then we have the third part that makes up the backend, which is what we call the application logic. This is what handles the logics, the calculations, the special operations, and so on of the website. For example, when you go to um, when you go to um, the full stack webinar you want to sign up, you when you fill up this form, it takes you to another page, and then it also stores your details somewhere. So there are some logics that go on behind that knows that this your information that you filled, it needs to be submitted somewhere. There's a logic that handles the submission of the form. There's a logic that handles the transferring it to the next page. And even if you discover when you go to the next page, it tells you your name, it keeps those information. So there are logics behind that. I think we may need to, for us to be effective in today's class, I may need to extend the class a bit to 30 more minutes. So once the time is about an hour, I will send another link that will just log in if I'm unable to finish up, because I need to finish up this my slide, because I believe what we are treating is very important. Okay. So so the next is, okay, so that's it. So here you meet different languages like Java, Python, C Sharp, PHP. These are the languages that I use to achieve these things. So these are that's where what brings us to the basic web structure of a website. Okay. So what are the disciplines involved in web design or web development? We have some disciplines like we have the design roles, the development roles, and some other related roles. You have some people that are called the UI designers, the UX designers, the graphics designers, and the web designers. These are the ones that are involved in the web design part of building a website. Then you have the development roles. We said that there's the web design and there is the web development. Okay, so we have those who specialize in web design. We have those who specialize in the web development, and even in the web design you have roles. So don't worry, when I post the slide you can see further details about the designer roles, the developer roles, and then the other roles. So but my interest because of this is in the full stack developer. So who is a full stack developer? Full stack developer is one who has skills in both front end and back end development. You can be able to, a full stack developer is capable of building a complete website from start to finish. Is capable of building a complete website from start to finish, and he understands both the client side and the server side aspect of a website. That is who a full stack developer is. And when someone wants to begin a journey into web development, I always advise that you first start off as a full stack developer. Why? Before you can focus on any other field, it's good to know about every other field before you can specialize in any other field. Some specialize as front-end developers, some specialize as full stack, some specialize as front-end, some specialize as back-end developers. But if you want to be best and have an idea of every other thing, you should go into full stack development first. That's the first thing you should do, so that if you are going to be working as a front end developer, you know how to work with your back end developers, you know how to work with your database administrators, because you know what their own part requires. So companies value people who have knowledge of the full stack more than front-end developers and back-end developers on their own. But yet people specialize uh, as any of these. Okay, so but it's good to have an idea and go through so that you can be able to know much about front end and back end. So my counsel as someone who has been experienced for a while, for a long time now, is to do what? Go for front full stack development. Okay, so and the other development rules, when you see the slide, you can read through them. Okay, so web design and development frameworks. I think at this point, for the sake of time, I would be sending in the link to the for us to join up the next for us to join up the um, to connect to the next class before we get logged out here. So can we quickly connect to this next class? Can we begin to connect while I will log out of this one now? So please, can we begin to join up the next class? Sorry, I might be posting the link twice. Seems like I sent the same link twice. Sorry.
Yeah, it seems it's the same link.
Hold on a bit. Okay. Let me just give me 1 minute. Clients meet you and say, I want to build an e-commerce website. Where is our Jumia? Have I closed Jumia? Okay, let me just open it back up. I don't know when I closed it, but let me open it. Okay. Jumia. So the client says, I want to build a website like Jumia, right? I want to build a website like Jumia. Before you would rush and start saying what's it about, you need to know what are the functionalities of the website. And that is when, okay, sorry, let me make note of the point. So if you have a website sample, for example, now someone says, I want to build a website that's um, where you can um, do some crypto investments. The first thing you should ask your client is, what do you have a sample, right? Do you have a sample of this website? That means, has something like that been done before? If the person tells you something like that has been done before, it has a sample, what do? You request for the sample. So for example, if it says an e-commerce website, he wants to build an e-commerce website like Jumia, you have to go to Jumia and look extensively at it to know all the features. For example, you discover that when you come to the homepage of Jumia, it's showing you a list of their products, several products in that website. You can see that it deals with several products. And if you click on one product, you discover that it's going to take you to a different page. And click on that product, you discover it's going to take you to a different page. Why is it taking time to open? If you guys can no more hear me, please can you indicate by raising, or if sorry, if you can hear me. Oh, I think something is wrong with my network. Network got disconnected, but you guys can hear me now, right? Oh, so sorry. All right, I believe you guys can. Okay. If you can all hear me, indicate by raising your hand. If you can hear me, you can see me. I believe the network is back now. Okay. All right. So, where are we? So I said that you need to go to the website to see the special features and functions of the website. For example, you have the e-commerce website here, and when you go through the sorry, let me open it again. When you go through the website, you can see that it has different products, and when you click any of the products, it takes you to a page where you can see more details about the product. You can see the amount, you can see the different pictures of that same product. You have to go through and observe all the features and functionalities. Discover that when you click the add to cart, you, you can choose the number of items you want to add, and that adds to the cart. You can view the cart. So this is how to go through a website and know the functionalities before you rush to say, okay, something I can do, or this is the amount. You need to know that. Sorry, because of our time, I'm kind of rushing. Um, and if it's something you don't have or there's no sample before, you need to understand all the features that the client wants. You need to understand all the features that the client wants. So, for example, in an e-commerce website, I'm going to, at the end of this class on the WhatsApp group, I'm going to just give you a breakdown of what the architecture of an e-commerce website looks like. Because of our time, I would have done that, but I guess our time is almost up. Okay. So you need to determine all the independent variables models. I think I will discuss more about this on the WhatsApp group. So I'm trying to rush to get to somewhere. So, but these are the basic steps you need to take before you start building up a website. Okay, so you have the slide there. All right, so I just feel like I have to skip this because of our time, and I'll talk more about this on the WhatsApp group. Okay, so having talked about my apprenticeship system, I would like to introduce something very important to you before we ask your questions. Okay, remember you write down your questions, we'll answer them. So, how does one begin his apprenticeship journey? I'm very interested in making um, I personally am interested to raise full stack developers from this webinar. I'm interested to see that people change their career status from being jobless or being or searching out for something to a better source of income. I want to train people to become full stack developers, people who can be employed by corporate companies, and people who can be represent as or can stand as professionals in full stack development. I'm very interested in this apprenticeship journey, and that is why I want to introduce our full stack web apprentice course that Chidono is hosting. Chidono is hosting a full stack web apprentice course that is starting on the 27th of May. That is next week, Monday, right? Starting on 27th of May. And in this apprentice course, we're going to be building from the scratch an e-commerce website and a school portal. When I mean from the scratch, from the very basics of writing codes, we're going to build the structure. We're going to take everything one step at a time. I have some of my old students in this class, and they can testify that it's practical and it's something that we are able to do. So the duration for this course is 3 months, and the medium of learning is pre-recorded videos and live classes. So just as we're having a live class, we'll be having live classes. We'll also have videos that of what I've taught, which you watch, and then when we come for the live class, we practically discuss them. You see how we are rushing for the live class to manage our time. The system is that I teach what you need to know step by step, and when we come for live classes, you now practically, if you have a question, you ask your questions. If there are tasks we need to work on practically, we work on them so that you do not lose track with your teacher. That's why it's an apprenticeship pattern. You have, like I said, you learn from my experience, you learn from my experience, you learn as we practice. We'll be building an e-commerce website, we'll be building a school management website with all the features that you can think of in a school website. Everything about it we're going to be doing. This is just a little breakdown of the program. We'll be building using the front end, the back end. We'll be using ASP.NET Core. We'll be looking at hosting, and then we'll be developing an e-commerce website from start to finish, and a school management website from start to finish. We'll also be teaching web development entrepreneurship. That is how to turn your skill to a source of income. Very important. Like I said, I want to raise people who can be able to become full stack developers and make it a career for them and a source of income for them. So in this apprenticeship program, in this course of 3 months, we will be teaching you how to turn this skill to a money making venture. We'll teach you how to write proposals, how to how to set prices for your for clients, and how to seek out for jobs. We'll guide you on the requirements for jobs. We'll take you through the different platforms, and we'll point you to how you get jobs. So at the end of this training program, it's not just knowledge that you'll be gathering. You'll be exposed to all you need to know and be guided to make this stuff become a money making um, skill, to make these skills become a money making skill for you. So this is what we're going to be learning in this program. The course has already been discounted by Chidono to 18,000 naira by Chidono, but I personally want to do something for those of us who are in this webinar. Personally, I want to do something for those of us that are in this webinar. I know some of us might not be able to pay up to 18,000, but I'm interested in raising some apprentice. I'm interested in seeing that people learn this course. So I'm opening up an opportunity for people to register for this web apprentice course between now and tomorrow night at an amount you can pay as low as 10,000 naira for this course. You can pay as low as 10,000 naira to register and be part of this class starting on the 27th of May. And for those who can afford 18,000 or anything between 10,000 and 18,000, feel free to pay anything from 10,000 upwards. But I want everybody in this class who have joined this webinar, is my desire that you really participate in this 3 months course of learning full stack web development from the very scratch and learning everything you need to know in this. All right, so with this, at this point, I would like to open for this question and answers. I'm sure we have our questions and we have a very short time. So I would like to open up the channel for questions and answers. All right, so if you have a question, can you indicate by raising your hand? Let's quickly take questions. If you have a question, can you indicate by raising your hand? Okay, let's me start from Dario. I think I have Dario.
All right. Thank you very much. Can you hear me, sir?
I can hear you.
Thank you so much for the session. It was quite an interesting one. So my question is not to take our time. My question is for someone like myself who does not have zero knowledge in any of this language. How easy will it be for me to partake in the course? Because I'm much interested. Yes, that's my question. Thank you.
All right, thank you. I'll quickly answer that. When I started the course, I said that I've been teaching kids from 7 years how to build websites. So if kids from 7 years can learn how to build websites, I believe you can do better because they don't have any prior knowledge of anything about coding or programming. So what makes the difference is the tutor. What makes the difference is the curriculum and the pattern of teaching that the tutor uses. So some of my old students are also here. They can testify that they never had knowledge of coding before, but when they went through this course, they were able to pick up as a novice and be able to finish up their projects and build up all that they needed to build. So for me, um, you don't need to have any special skill or knowledge. All you just need is your laptop and to be joining up for the class and following every step along the way. All right. Is that okay for you, Dario? Is Dario still there? Okay, let's hear from Sean Banner. Sean Banner.
Yes, yes, that's perfect.
Okay.
Yes.
Is Sean Banner there? Raise your hand. Okay, while we're waiting for him, let's.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear
Yes,
you.
yes, yes. Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
All right. So, my question is, first of all, there are some tools I wanted to find out if you are going to be utilizing during the development process. Are you going to take us through using the tool? Can you hear me clearly?
I can hear you clearly.
Okay. So, are we going to be using a tool like Figma during the design process, the front end design process? And then for collaboration activities, are we going to be using a tool like Slack during the development process as well too? Then lastly, is there a possible way you can give us an extension for when we can come up with the figure? Because, like for example, I just came across this your advert about a day ago. So now it's like getting towards the end of the month, and some of us are actually trying to pull our way towards that. So I don't know if there can be an extension towards coming up with the figure because for different strokes for different folks. Yeah, thank you.
All right, thank you, Sean. Let me answer the question about whether we are going to make use of Figma. Um, the what we're
Did you
going to
hear
discuss.
everything I said?
I heard everything you said. Yes.
Hello?
Can you hear me? Okay. Sorry.
Okay.
The what we are working on, like I said, is full stack development, and the course is particular about full stack development. We Figma is used for UI UX designs, and we will look through that to see how it can be used, but we will not be using Figma. We are in focusing on the development aspect, not on the design aspect. Okay, so we will not be working with Figma, but we will look we will work with ideas from Figma. Can you hear me? I don't think you can hear.
Sorry.
You can hear me loud and clear, right?
Yeah, go ahead. Yes, you can hear you.
Okay, sorry about that. I think my network is
So yeah,
messing
if you
up.
could address the question, please.
Yeah, so I said that
Yes,
we
we
are
can hear you.
focusing on the
Yes.
development parts of the
Yes,
project.
we can hear you.
That is the development of the front end and the back end. That's what we are focusing on. So we will only be using designs from Figma, but we will not be designing on Figma. Do you understand what I'm saying?
No, I don't understand.
We will not be designing on Figma. That's the design part. We are working on the development part. We are
Okay.
building, so we can pick up
Okay.
designs that have
Okay.
already been
Okay.
done with
Okay.
Figma.
Okay. All right. All right.
Yes, so we
Then
are
the Slack, are we going to use Slack?
no, we are not also going to use Slack. What we are working with is the ASP
Okay.
and .NET Core framework, which we are working with the .NET 8.0 framework, which is the most recent framework of the .NET, and that's what most companies use behind. Many of the banks in Lagos, many
Yes,
of the
I understand.
yes, many of them use this framework. Kuda uses it. I can begin to mention so many of them, but these are what they use for building their applications. Okay, sorry, because of our time, let me take the next question. Nelson Bassi. Okay, yes, there's one more question you asked I didn't answer, right? Can you hear me? Can you guys hear me?
Okay.
Can you hear me now?
Um, the fee extension question. I think the next question. Yeah, the person who asked the next question is asking me the same thing. Yeah,
Okay, okay, the fee extension question.
go ahead.
What
Yes,
will
go
happen
ahead.
is I would answer that on the WhatsApp group, but it's just a 1 day extension that I'm able to speak for now. For the 10,000, the 18,000 is already a subsidized amount. Okay, so but I'm doing that 10,000 for those who are able to register between now and tomorrow evening, and that is on me. So but I will check and get back to you guys before tomorrow morning if there's going to be any possibility on that. I don't know if you guys heard what I just said now.